This is Michael Wilton of Queensryche, and you're watching Tattoo.com.
Hey everybody, it's Rockwell Anderson here at the Rave in Milwaukee, Wisconsin with Whip. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
And for those who aren't familiar with your pretty face, what band are you in?
Oh, yeah. What's that band?
Queen something. Not Queen.
From the 80s, right? Queensryche.
Queensryche. Yes. And you guys aren't just here because it's a nostalgia tour. You're out because you've got a new album out, The Verdict. And I want to ask you, we prepared for this a little bit, but most bands that came out big in the 80s, at this point in their career, they're only coming out with an album maybe 4 or 5 years out. They're not on the schedule that you guys are on, because since 2013, your first album with Todd, this is your third album, so third album in 6 years. What's kind of the impetus behind that?
Well, I think, we have a lot of creative elements in the band, and we still are old school. We still consider putting out an album when we talk about recording. And, actually, I would like to have the albums, maybe every couple years, just for the fact that, we are getting older. So, as long as there's songs available, which we have plenty of, and we've got, a band that's right on their A game right now, and we're in a great place creatively. So, no shortage of inspiration to write music. But as you know, we got to tour, right? We got to promote the record. And the previous album, Condition Human, we toured on that basically for almost 4 years. And, then it was, you get the phone call from the record company, I think it's time to put out an album. So that's, if I had it my way, I'd go every other year.
And this being your third album with Todd, how is it different from the previous two, Queensryche, the self-titled, and Condition Human?
Well, the main difference is just the evolution of the band. Queensryche is just evolving with each album. And that being said, I view it as this big Queensryche machine is just sucking us up, and it's everybody's writing for the band, not for themselves, and it's just a great time, it's a great, to be in a band where everybody's really friendly and just, creatively on the same level. And I think what happens is, it's, the on-the-spot spontaneity is just amazing,
It's kind of similar to one of the questions I asked you a few years ago. It was, you guys were on tour with the Scorpions, and that was at the in Vegas at one of the big casinos there. I forget. No, doesn't matter. The Hard Rock. Yes. And one of the things that you brought up at that time was what Todd brings into the band is he's not just a singer. He's obviously just the singer for the band, but he has other musical influences, and he can play some of the instruments, so he kind of brings that as well. So you guys got a lot of people. He's got that other perspective that he can bring in, and he can understand where you guys are coming from, the rest of the band. So that's kind of unique for the band when you brought Todd in.
Well, exactly. I mean, Todd is kind of like our Swiss Army knife of creativity and talent. And especially on this new album, The Verdict, I mean, if you don't already know, Todd played the drums. We were in a situation where Scott couldn't, commit to the recording, and so we had two choices: get an outside studio drummer, or, let Todd record a song and see what happens. So we did that, and producer Zeus went thumbs up, and we said, let's do it. So I think, bringing the four of us together just made everything so much more cohesive and on top of the arrangements and the songwriting. And because the songs were basically built, song by song because of the drums and because of where we, what stage we were at in the demos, it was just closely, to look at, and everybody was just vibing on these ideas because it was a lot of spontaneity and off-the-cuff ideas thrown into the mix, and these songs just started to shape. And
that's really important, especially a band that's been around for a while. I'm not going to call you old because I'm old, but they've been around for a while, and so it's sometimes hard for that. So that's really important that Todd brings that in, that fresh perspective. And Parker's not original, but he also kind of a younger guy, a different perspective, and it really keeps you guys fresh and relevant. That's the thing, keeping you guys fresh and relevant all the time. So you're not just focused on the back catalog. When you come to a Queensryche show, you can experience the new great material that's coming out not just every 5 or 10 years, but coming out every couple of years. And that's important, I think, for the fans and for you guys to keep on growing, to keep on your quest.
Right, and I think, that's what I'm saying, that we're at a really good point in our career because obviously we've proven to play the old catalog and the hits, and the fans love it, and now you have the marriage of the new Queensryche infused with the legacy songs, and that's what we're doing now on this Verdict tour. And so I think they blend really well, and people are really grasping the new songs. There's a lot of energy in them, and when you have a balance of old and new, it's really fun. Because obviously there's hardcore Rikers that want to hear everything new, and then there's the old school ones that want to hear the hits. So we're giving both.
I'm one of those old school Rikers, and I've got an old school shirt on right now, Iron Maiden, and that's what I appreciate about Iron Maiden. Just to get a different band real quick, they're another band from the 80s. They don't come out with albums as often as you guys, but when they do come out with something, I appreciate hearing that new stuff. Some of the old school Maiden fans are like, oh, just play Hallowed Be Thy Name, Run to the Hills, come on, The Trooper, and that's it. But as a music fan, as a true music fan, I really appreciate bands like yours that really bring out new stuff, and because you're not dead, keep on bringing it out. As long as you have that creative fire in you, keep it going, and true fans will appreciate that. And you also maybe make some new fans as well. But speaking of getting back to the album real quick, you just released some special vinyl, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I mean, with Century Media, they love to do special releases, and and we're a band that believes in pressing vinyl, and I still have a record player, and I still listen to records. I'm nostalgic in that sense, yeah. And but yeah, there's all kinds of releases from Century Media, so they're really creative in that aspect of the marketing and the distribution.
Now, do you tour with that vinyl? Some bands do, some bands don't.
Why, yes, and you can see tonight at our merchandising booth. We do have vinyl, and we do have the domestic CD.
And not to kiss your ass, but we will be purchasing a vinyl tonight because that's us. Because we used to have a record store near Dallas, and we still listen to records. So, and we love listening to music, and that's really cool. It's one, and unfortunately, there's not a whole way of making money off of music anymore. It's mostly done off of touring. So merchandise, vinyl being part of that, is very important. So it's great that Century Media is doing that because it's very beneficial to everybody, especially you guys. You can actually make some money on the, instead of, you can't steal a record unless you go to the show or go to, a record shop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and all bands are like that these days, especially, the ones that are hard rock and progressive rock and everything. They have to tour now, to kind of stay current and stay in everybody's, mind, basically, of a musical choice that someone is going to throw down their hard-earned money, to go see a band, and it's, we understand that. There's a lot of congestion out there. So, but, Queensryche has always been a band that's kind of been unique to itself as far as trends. We don't really fit into any trends. So as trends come and go, we just kind of exist. And we've done that through the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And there's been some big trends.
Yes.
We'll just keep doing that. we're a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and it's, turn the blender on liquefy and you got Queensryche.
I like that. Especially as somebody that is the husband who has to make iced coffee for her, for his significant other who's behind the camera right now. Oh, and speaking of coffee, hey, don't you guys have some coffee?
Yeah, I have some coffee. In the Seattle area, we consume huge amounts of caffeine, and just because we don't see the sun that much. And so I'm doing stuff with Dave Elfson of Megadeth. He has a roasting plant down in Phoenix, I think. I may be wrong, but I have Whip's Pacific blend of. It's definitely a dark, concentrated. I start my day with a quad. 4 shots of espresso in the morning, and that's how I get going. So I like my coffee really strong. So that's kind of what my coffee is all about.
My one true vice in life is caffeine. I got to have coffee. Mm-hmm. And my wife, if you cut her open right now, she's going to bleed coffee. But anyway, enough about my wife, enough about me. Sir, it's about time to come to an end to this. Thank you very much. It's good seeing you again. I think the last time, we interviewed you, like I said, back in Vegas a couple of years ago. But I think we saw you after that, like at the Rainbow. You and Todd, and I forget her name, did a little acoustic thing upstairs at the Rainbow. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a while ago too. But it's good to finally catch up with you again because we didn't see you at all last year, and maybe only once the year before. So it's good talking to you. Tune in to Tattoo.com and edgerockradio.com for this interview and all kinds of other interesting and cool stuff and more interviews. Until we meet again, we're out. Thank you.
Support live music. Support live music.
That's right.